And happy Easter. And try to go here so you guys can see me. Um, happy Easter. And today we're going to talk about something very, very serious. We're going to talk about how it is not enough to have health insurance. The real question is, can you actually afford what your plan does not cover? Because if the answer is no, then one medical event can turn into a money problem real fast. So let me say something that a lot of people do not want to hear, but it's true. The question is not just whether you have health insurance. The real question is whether you have enough money set aside to cover what your insurance does not cover. Let me give you a very, very interesting example. So, years ago, I couldn't afford to pick up a medication because the copay was $500 with my insurance. That's for 1 month of medication. So let me say it again. That 1 month of medication, the copay was $500. It's a very expensive medication. Thank God I was able to afford it later, but that's an example of it's not that you have health insurance, it's what your insurance covers or not, okay? Let me go back here. Let me go this one. Okay. So let's keep talking about this because at the end of the day, like I said, because a lot of people right now have a card in their wallet and think they're protected. But then they get hit with a deductible. They get hit with out-of-pocket costs. They get hit with lost time from work. They get hit with deductibles. They get hit with copays and coinsurance. They get hit with bills they did not expect. And suddenly, what looked like protection on paper becomes financial stress in real life. And when money becomes the worry, people start doing dangerous things. They delay care, they skip appointments, they avoid the ER, they avoid testing, they try to wait it out, they pray it goes away. That is not real peace. So today I want to talk to the people in Texas, Florida, Ohio, and New York who are healthy, but who may be paying too much for a plan with high deductible and not enough for protection where it counts. Guys, right now you might be paying zero premium, which is what you pay monthly. But if your deductible is $10,000, your plan does not cover you until you pay $10,000. And that is once a year. And at the beginning of the year, everything just goes to zero again. Again, the goal is not to just have insurance. The goal is to be able to use it without your life blowing up financially. Sadly, a lot of people think, I have health insurance, so I'm good. No, not necessarily. Having insurance and having usable insurance are not always the same thing. Some people are paying big monthly premiums and still have a huge deductible, like I said, huge out-of-pocket exposure, weak everyday benefits, no cushion for unexpected bills, no gap protection. So now they're getting hit from both sides. I remember one time years ago that I had an appointment with my rheumatoid arthritis, my rheumatologist, and I couldn't afford a copay. The copay was like $50. Couldn't afford it. So I had to ask them, hey, I pay half of it now. And then the half, the same way I was doing some labs. They wanted me to pay $50 again, $100. And I just didn't have the money. And that is very, very common with a lot of people. So some people are getting hit from both sides. They're paying too much every month, and they're still paying too much when something actually happens. That's the scam nobody talks about enough. People think the monthly premium is the whole story. It is not. You have to look at the whole picture. You have to check out what is your premium, what is your deductible, what is your maximum out of pocket. Do you have protection for the gaps? Could you handle a bath month financially if something happens? Because if the answer is no, then your plan may be expensive and still leave you exposed. Some people are proudly overpaying for the privilege of being underprotected. Let me say that again. Some people are proudly overpaying for the privilege of being underprotected. That's crazy. This is why a lot of people, I tell people, this is not, I don't want to be in everybody's life, but I am an insurance broker. This is why you want somebody in your corner that understands how the system works. So you pay what you need to pay, no more or less. Okay, so a lot of the times, people don't want to ask for help. And if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Okay. So now we're going to talk about what really happens when people have high deductibles. Let's talk about real life. You're healthy. You do not go to the doctor much. Maybe you think, I'll just take the cheaper option later. Or I probably won't need much care anyway. But then life happens. You fall. You need imaging. You get appendicitis. You have a chest pain. Your child needs urgent care. You need outpatient surgery. You get in a car accident. You have an unexpected ER visit. Now, all of a sudden, the deductible matters. And let me go back to the whole thing about falling. This year, and I'm only 51, this year I've fallen 3 times. And yesterday was one of them. After that, I fell the first time. Like I said, I'm 51, so I shouldn't be falling all the time. But 3 times this year, right? And we're in the 4th month. So not good for a 51-year-old. But yesterday I fell in front of my yard, taking my dog to potty, right? And I fell like this, both of my knees in the ground. Thank God, because the first time I fell at the beginning of the year in January, I put an accident insurance on me and my husband, so that if something happens and I couldn't go work and I get hurt, I get some money while I take a break. Okay, crazy, right? It's an example of that, right? Now going back to the out-of-pocket maximum is important. Now the core insurance matters. Now your missed work matters. Now the bills matter. And what does that create? Stress. Not just physical stress, financial stress. And financial stress affects everything. It affects your sleep. It affects your marriage, your mood, your decisions, your ability to focus, your willingness to get care. That's why I keep saying the issue is not just whether you have insurance. The issue is whether you can survive what your insurance leaves behind. Okay? So this is another thing that I want to talk about. Dangerous decisions people make when money gets tight. This is the part that really bothers me. When people are scared of cost, they start making decisions they should never have to make. They say things like, maybe I'll wait a few more days. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'll take less insulin, because I heard somebody said that to me. You didn't have the money, so they go and get some cheap, crappy insulin over the counter. But again, it's not what they need. Some say, I don't want to pay that bill. I'll just tough it out. I can't afford testing right now. I'll go later. I'm not trying to get stuck with a huge charge. And sometimes later becomes too late. Sometimes the medical issue gets worse because the money issue got louder. That is backwards. So look at this. Let me give you an example of something that happened to me. So I've been having issues with one of my teeth. And I was just letting it slip because I was working and I didn't have the time to go get it taken care of, right? Until it's too late and my tooth is killing me. That tooth pain is killing me. And if you had a tooth pain and it's throbbing, it's like somebody just, it's horrible. So I go to the emergency dental. They charge me $4,000 because when you go to the dentist, it's one of the most expensive places that you can go. And they tell me, Mari, your tooth is cracked. You need a root canal. Root canal, $7,000. So here I have two bills that I've been paying because I let things slide until it was too late. So no one should be forced to choose between their health and their bills, but that is exactly what happens when a person has the wrong setup. And some of us that are self-employed, we work, and we don't take a time to take care of ourselves. That is why smart protection is not about buying the fanciest plan. It is about building a setup that makes sense. Manageable premium, manageable deductible exposure, protection for the gaps, something that actually works in the real world. Because peace is not just paying a premium. Peace is knowing one bad event does not wreck your finances. So I hear, especially talking to people that are in Texas, Florida, Ohio, New York, who are generally healthy. This matters because healthy people often get stuck in one bad situation. They are overinsured on the premium side and underprepared on the savings side. Let me explain. They choose a high deductible setup because the monthly premium look okay, but they never backed it up with a gap protection. So now they're exposed. If you're healthy, that is actually the time to look at smarter options. Why? Because when you are healthy, you have more choices. And the goal is to use that season wisely before life changes. Not after the diagnosis, not after the accident, not after the surgery, not after the giant bill. The best time to fix a weak protection setup is when you're healthy enough to qualify for better options. Okay. This morning I was actually looking at somebody's message, and it just was very, very sad. Very, very, very sad, right? Basically, this lady just lost her husband. So she's a widow, has 2 kids, and her husband worked for an insurance company. So the health insurance that they have was from her husband's company. Now they don't have insurance, and she is self-employed. And she's looking for somebody to help. So I actually reach out, and hopefully she will contact me. So when you look at your health coverage, do not just ask, what is my monthly premium? Ask, what is my deductible? How much do I have to pay before the plan really starts helping? That's what the deductible is. What is my max out of pocket? What is the absolute damage this plan could do to my budget in a bad year? Let's say that usually the out-of-pocket max is $10,000, $15,000. So that means that once you hit that number, then usually the plan will cover the rest. But the problem is, hey, baby. Okay, I'm coming back. So anyway, do I have something set aside for that moment? Not hopes, not buy, actual money. If I got hurt or sick next month, would I avoid care because of cost? That question tells the truth fast. Do I have gap protection? Am I healthy enough for better options? Because a lot of people have never had anyone explain this clearly. They just get told, here's your premium, and that's the end of the conversation. No, that's where the real conversation should start. And this is a real issue of why you need a insurance broker. So I gotta go work out. So I'm gonna actually finish the live. But again, if you're healthy and paying too much for coverage with a high deductible and you live in Texas, Florida, Ohio, or New York, message me for a review of your current setup. The goal is not just having insurance. The goal is protecting your health and your money. So please call me at 512-387-2748. 512-387-2748. Take care and blessings.
Paper trail thicker than a mystery novel. Cash flow ripple make the banks grovel. Phoenix rise both shut with precision. Generational wealth, that's the mission. Legacy locked, key in the safe. Phoenix flying, no time to waste. Stacks on stacks, building the base. Future so bright, can't see the haze. Securitors move, we the pros in the game. Trust airtight. fight, playing no shame. Life insured, annuities grow. Seeds in the ground, now watch them show. Golden wings, soaring high.